Imagine this. You're standing in front of someone you love, offering them your heart in the purest way you know how. Maybe it's through words, a touch, a small act of kindness, or simply your presence. But instead of feeling warmth in return, you feel uncertainty. Some days they embrace your love, making you believe you are everything to them. Other days they act as if your love is an inconvenience, something to be ignored, criticized, or manipulated. You start questioning yourself. Was it too much? Was it not enough? Should love really feel this confusing? This is what happens in a narcissistic relationship. Love is not given freely. It is controlled, rationed, and used as a tool to keep you emotionally trapped. Over time, your love language, the way you naturally give and receive love, becomes distorted. You stop expressing love the way you once did. You second guess your emotions. You believe that love is something you must earn rather than something you deserve. And the worst part, even when you leave, the damage remains. How does this happen? How can a relationship change the very way you understand love? Let's dive into how narcissistic relationships distort your love language and the lasting impact they leave behind. In a narcissistic relationship, love is not given freely. It is used as a tool for control and manipulation. What starts as what seems like admiration and affection slowly turns into something far more calculated. The narcissist does not love in the way most people understand love. Their affection is transactional, and every kind word or romantic gesture comes with an unspoken condition. You are expected to respond in a way that benefits them, even if it comes at the cost of your own emotional well-being. Over time, this warps how you express and perceive love, distorting your natural love language into something unrecognizable. At the beginning of the relationship, a narcissist often showers you with excessive attention and validation. This is known as love bombing, where they make you feel like you are the most important person in their world. During this phase, they observe you carefully, learning what makes you feel special. If words of affirmation make you happy, they will flood you with compliments. If physical touch is your love language, they will be overly affectionate. They study your emotional needs, but not because they genuinely care about fulfilling them. Instead, they do this so they can later use them against you. Once they have secured your trust and attachment, their behavior begins to shift. The same affection and validation that once felt so abundant now start to feel scarce. If you express your love through acts of service, you might begin to notice that they expect you to do things for them constantly, but they do nothing in return. If you thrive on quality time, they will make themselves unavailable when you need them most. And if you express love through words, they will make you feel like your words hold no value. Or worse, they will twist them to make you question your own feeling. This shift is intentional. By withdrawing affection and validation, the narcissist creates a sense of insecurity in you. They make you believe that their love is conditional, something you must constantly earn. If you once freely expressed love through affectionate words, you may now find yourself hesitating, afraid that what you say will be dismissed or turned against you. If you used to enjoy physical closeness, you may begin to associate it with rejection, as they withhold intimacy to punish you or manipulate you. Slowly, your love language is no longer about genuine expression, but about survival, about doing whatever it takes to maintain some level of peace in the relationship. This manipulation extends even further when they begin using your love language as a weapon. If words of affirmation are important to you, they will gaslight you, making you doubt your own reality with their words. They will alternate between praise and cruel remarks, making you crave their approval even more. If you value acts of service, they will make you feel guilty for not doing enough, constantly moving the goalpost so that no matter how much you give, it is never enough. If physical touch is how you express love, they will use it strategically, giving affection only when they want something in return and withdrawing it when they want to punish you. Over time, this changes how you understand love itself. Instead of seeing love as something that flows naturally, you begin to believe that love is something that must be worked for, something that can be lost if you do not meet the ever-changing demands of the narcissist. You become conditioned to believe that love is tied to sacrifice, that expressing love means prioritizing their needs above your own, even at the cost of your happiness. The most dangerous aspect of this manipulation is that it does not happen all at once. It is a slow erosion of self, a gradual process where the lines between love and control blur until you no longer recognize the difference. What once felt natural and fulfilling now feels exhausting and painful. You begin to doubt yourself, questioning whether you are too needy, too emotional, or too demanding. The reality is, your love language has not changed. You have simply been taught to suppress it. By the time you realize what has happened, the damage is already done. You may find it difficult to trust your own emotions, unsure of what love is supposed to feel like. You may hesitate to express affection, fearing rejection or manipulation. The very thing that once made you feel connected to others now feels like a vulnerability that can be exploited. This distortion of love is not just about the relationship itself, but about the long-term impact it has on how you engage with love in the future. Even after the relationship ends, the scars remain. You may struggle to open up to others, afraid that love will once again come with strings attached. You may feel uncomfortable receiving genuine affection, suspicious that it is merely a trap. Relearning what love truly is becomes a long and painful process, requiring you to unlearn the toxic patterns that the narcissist forced upon you. Escaping a narcissistic relationship does not mean simply walking away. It means reclaiming your love language. Understanding that love is not meant to be a tool for control. It is about rediscovering the freedom to express love without fear, without conditions, and without the constant anxiety of whether or not you are enough. Gaslighting is one of the most insidious tools a narcissist uses to manipulate and control their partner. It is a psychological tactic designed to make a person doubt their own reality, memories, and perceptions. When you are in a narcissistic relationship, this form of manipulation becomes a daily occurrence, slowly eroding your confidence and reshaping the way you see yourself and your emotions. Over time, gaslighting distorts not just your perception of reality, but also the way you understand and express love. It makes you second-guess your instincts, leaving you unsure whether your feelings are valid, whether your needs are too much, or whether your expectations of love are unreasonable. At the start of the relationship, everything seems perfect. The narcissist often showers you with affection, validation, and attention, making you feel deeply valued. They appear to understand your emotions, your fears, and your desires. This is a deliberate setup, a way to gain your trust and create an emotional dependency. They want you to feel safe so that when the manipulation begins, you are already invested enough to question yourself rather than them. Once they have secured your attachment, they begin to subtly rewrite your perception of reality. They invalidate your feelings, dismissing your concerns as overreactions or outright fabrications. If you bring up an issue, no matter how calmly, they twist the conversation until you are the one apologizing. They say things like, "I never said that," "You're imagining things," or "You're too sensitive," making you doubt your own memory and emotions. Even when you are certain that something happened a certain way, their confidence in denying it makes you question yourself. This constant self-doubt begins to impact how you express love. If your love language involves words of affirmation, you may start holding back, afraid that what you say will be met with criticism or indifference. If you once openly communicated your feelings, you may now hesitate, unsure whether you are even allowed to feel the way you do. Every time you try to express love, whether through words, actions, or affection, the narcissist finds a way to twist it, making you feel like you are either not doing enough or doing too much. Gaslighting is particularly dangerous because it isolates you from your own truth. You no longer trust your instincts, which means you rely on the narcissist to define reality for you. If they tell you that your expectations of love are unreasonable, you believe them. If they say that you are the problem, you internalize it. If they decide when and how love should be expressed, you adapt to their version of love, even if it feels wrong or unnatural. Over time, you start silencing yourself, repressing your emotions to avoid conflict or rejection. This distortion extends beyond the relationship itself, affecting how you perceive love even after you leave. The constant invalidation conditions you to believe that your emotions are unreliable, that your needs are excessive, and that your perception of love is flawed. You may find it difficult to trust new relationships, fearing that love will once again be used as a weapon against you. When someone offers genuine affection, you might hesitate, wondering if it is just another trap. Another devastating effect of gaslighting is that it creates a cycle of self-blame. Since the narcissist never takes responsibility for their actions, you become the one who carries the guilt. You convince yourself that if you were better, more patient, more understanding, more loving, then the relationship would not be so difficult. But no matter how much you try, the goalpost keeps moving. The narcissist ensures that you are always chasing an unattainable version of love, one where you are constantly proving your worth, but never feeling truly valued. Gaslighting does not just distort your love language, it steals your ability to trust yourself. It makes you doubt whether your way of expressing love is valid, whether your needs deserve to be met, whether love is something that should feel natural or something that must be earned through suffering. It takes away your sense of emotional security, leaving you trapped in a reality where love is defined by the narcissist and your own understanding of it is erased. In a narcissistic relationship, love is never freely given. It is something you have to earn. Unlike healthy relationships where love is expressed naturally and without conditions, a narcissist makes their affection feel like a reward that is only granted when you meet their demands. This creates an unhealthy dynamic where you are constantly trying to prove your worth, fearing that if you fail to meet their expectations, the love you once received will be taken away. Over time, this shifts your understanding of love itself, making you believe that love is not something you deserve simply for being yourself, but something that must be constantly worked for, often at the cost of your own well-being. At the start of the relationship, the narcissist makes you feel special. They idealize you, showering you with compliments, affection, and attention. This is the stage where they create an emotional dependency, making you believe that their love is deep and unconditional. However, once they feel they have secured your attachment, their behavior begins to change. The love and validation that once seemed endless now become rare and unpredictable. They begin to set unspoken rules, making you feel as though you must behave a certain way to keep their approval. This shift happens so gradually that it is difficult to notice at first. They start by subtly withdrawing affection when you do something they disapprove of, whether it is expressing an independent thought, asking for emotional support, or simply not prioritizing their needs above your own. You may notice that they become cold or distant when you fail to meet their expectations, but when you comply with what they want, they suddenly become warm and loving again. This teaches you that love is conditional, that it is not something you receive naturally, but something that depends entirely on how well you cater to their needs. Over time, this conditioning changes how you express love. If your love language is words of affirmation, you may find yourself constantly reassuring them, telling them what they want to hear, in hopes of receiving even the smallest amount of praise in return. If physical touch is how you express love, you may hesitate, unsure whether your affection will be welcomed or ignored. If quality time is your way of connecting, you might start scheduling your life around their moods, making sure you are available when they want attention, but feeling neglected when they have no use for you. One of the most damaging aspects of this manipulation is that it creates a cycle of self-doubt and self-blame. Because the narcissist never clearly states their expectations, you are left trying to guess what will keep them happy. When they withhold love, you assume it must be something you did wrong, even if you have no idea what that might be. This forces you into a pattern of constantly trying to improve yourself, altering your behavior, suppressing your needs, and even changing your personality in an attempt to regain the love that once seemed so freely given. As this cycle continues, you start to believe that love is transactional, that it is something you must constantly work for, rather than something that should be given freely and without manipulation. You may find yourself accepting less and less, tolerating mistreatment, because you have been conditioned to believe that love is not about mutual care and respect, but about proving your worth. The idea of being loved just for who you are becomes foreign to you, and instead, you start defining love by how much you can endure. Even after leaving a narcissistic relationship, the effects of this conditioning remain. You may struggle to accept genuine love from others, feeling suspicious when someone offers affection without asking for anything in return. You might feel uncomfortable expressing your love openly, fearing that it will be used against you, or that it will disappear the moment you stop proving yourself. The belief that love is something to be earned, rather than something to be shared, becomes deeply ingrained, making it difficult to build healthy, fulfilling relationships in the future. In a narcissistic relationship, love does not feel safe. It becomes something you have to manage carefully, something that can be taken away at any moment. Over time, this fear changes how you express your emotions, forcing you to suppress parts of yourself just to avoid conflict. Instead of love being a source of comfort, it becomes a battleground where every word, every action, and every moment of affection feels like a risk. The natural ways you used to show love, whether through words, touch, time, or acts of service, begin to feel like weaknesses that can be used against you. At the beginning of the relationship, everything seems effortless. The narcissist appears to accept and appreciate your love language, mirroring your emotions and making you believe that your connection is deep and genuine. If you express love through physical touch, they may initially be highly affectionate. If words of affirmation are important to you, they may be the first to shower you with compliments. They create an illusion that your love language is not only understood but cherished. This phase, however, does not last. As the relationship progresses, they begin to use your emotions against you. If you show vulnerability, they might dismiss it, mock it, or make you feel guilty for it. If you express love in a way that does not directly benefit them, they might reject it or even punish you for it. For example, if your love language is quality time, they might withhold their presence as a way to make you feel unimportant. If you value acts of service, they might take advantage of your kindness, expecting you to do things for them without any appreciation or reciprocity. Instead of feeling natural and fulfilling, love starts to feel exhausting and one-sided. As this pattern continues, you begin to suppress your true way of expressing love. Instead of openly communicating, you start filtering everything you say, afraid that even an innocent comment could trigger an argument or be turned against you. If your love language involves words of affirmation, you might stop offering compliments altogether, knowing that your words will either be ignored or manipulated. If physical touch is important to you, you may hesitate before reaching out, unsure whether your affection will be received warmly or coldly. Every expression of love becomes a calculated decision rather than an instinctive act. This emotional suppression does not happen overnight. It is a slow and painful process, reinforced by the narcissist's unpredictable reactions. Some days they may welcome your affection, making you believe that things are improving. Other days they may withdraw completely, leaving you confused and anxious. The inconsistency keeps you trapped, constantly adjusting your behavior in hopes of maintaining peace. You become hyper-aware of their moods, always trying to anticipate what will keep them happy and what might push them away. Love stops being about connection and starts being about survival. Fear also plays a major role in this suppression. You fear their reactions, their judgment, their silent treatment, their anger. Over time, this fear becomes internalized. You start questioning yourself before they even have a chance to react. You silence your emotions before they can be dismissed. You shrink yourself before they can make you feel small. You stop expressing love in ways that feel natural to you because you have learned that love, in their world, is not about mutual appreciation but about control. The damage caused by this suppression does not end when the relationship does. Even after you leave, the habit of suppressing your emotions lingers. You may struggle to trust your own feelings, questioning whether your way of expressing love is acceptable. You may feel anxious in new relationships, unsure of how much of yourself you are allowed to show. Even in safe and loving environments, you might hesitate to express affection, fearing that it will be met with rejection or punishment. What was once a natural part of who you are now feels like something dangerous, something that needs to be hidden to protect yourself. In a narcissistic relationship, love does not operate in a way that fosters security or stability. Instead, it is something that feels unpredictable, constantly shifting, depending on the narcissist's mood, desires, or agenda. One moment, they may shower you with affection, making you feel like the most important person in their world, and the next, they may withdraw completely, acting as if you are a burden. This unpredictability is not accidental. It is a deliberate manipulation tactic designed to keep you emotionally off balance, making you more dependent on them for validation while simultaneously eroding your ability to trust your own emotion. This inconsistency can be confusing. When the narcissist is loving and affectionate, it feels incredible. They make grand gestures, say all the right things, and create an illusion of deep connection. These moments are powerful, almost intoxicating, because they make you believe that this is what real love feels like. However, just when you begin to feel secure, the dynamic shifts, the warmth disappears, and suddenly you are met with coldness, indifference, or even cruelty. When you try to address this shift, they either deny that anything has changed or make you feel like it is your fault, suggesting that you have done something to push them away. Over time, this creates a cycle that affects how you express and perceive love. If your love language is words of affirmation, you may start withholding your own expressions of affection, fearing that they will either be ignored or twisted against you. If physical touch is how you connect, you may hesitate before reaching out, unsure of whether it will be welcomed or rejected. If quality time is important to you, you may find yourself anxiously waiting for moments of connection, only to be met with silence or avoidance. Instead of feeling safe in your relationship, you begin to feel like you are walking on eggshells, constantly trying to predict when love will be given and when it will be taken away. The emotional roller coaster created by this inconsistency is what keeps you hooked. The highs feel euphoric because they are so rare, and the lows feel devastating because they come without warning. This makes you work even harder to gain their affection, believing that if you can just do everything right, the loving version of them will return for good. But the truth is, their love is never stable because it is not about genuine connection. It is about control. By keeping their affection inconsistent, they ensure that you remain in a constant state of emotional uncertainty, always seeking their approval, always questioning whether you are enough. As this cycle continues, your love language becomes distorted. If you once expressed love freely, you now feel hesitant, unsure of when it is appropriate or safe. If you once expected love to be given without conditions, you now find yourself trying to earn it. Your understanding of what love should feel like changes entirely. Instead of expecting consistency, care, and mutual respect, you begin to accept the instability as normal. You adapt to the unpredictability, convincing yourself that love is supposed to be complicated, that deep emotions always come with suffering. Even after leaving a narcissistic relationship, the effects of this inconsistency linger. You may find yourself drawn to similar dynamics in future relationships, mistaking emotional instability for passion. You may struggle to trust when someone offers consistent love, feeling suspicious or even bored when affection is given freely without conditions. Your love language, which was once a natural expression of who you are, now feels like something fragile, something that can be invalidated or taken away at any moment. The damage caused by inconsistent affection is not just about how you see love, it is about how you see yourself, your worth, and what you believe you deserve in relationships. When you are in a narcissistic relationship, love does not flow freely. It is measured, calculated, and used as a tool for control. Over time, this experience conditions you to believe that love is something that must be earned rather than something that should be given freely. This belief does not disappear when the relationship ends. Instead, it follows you into future relationships, influencing how you give and receive love. The way you once understood affection, care, and emotional connection becomes distorted, making it difficult to recognize what healthy love truly looks like. At the core of this conditioning is the idea that love is transactional. In a narcissistic relationship, affection is given only when it benefits the narcissist. If you do something they approve of, they might temporarily reward you with kindness. If you fail to meet their expectations, they withhold love, making you feel as though you are undeserving. This cycle repeats itself until you internalize the idea that love is conditional, that you must prove your worth, sacrifice your needs, and earn every bit of affection you receive. Because of this, even after the relationship ends, you may struggle with the fear that love will always be something that can be taken away. If a new partner expresses love freely, you might feel suspicious, wondering if they have an ulterior motive. Instead of embracing genuine affection, you may find yourself waiting for the moment when it disappears, because that is what you were conditioned to expect. The unpredictability of love in the past has made stability feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. This conditioning also affects the way you express love. If your love language involves physical touch, you may hesitate, wondering whether your affection will be welcomed or rejected. If words of affirmation are how you show love, you might hold back, afraid that your words will be dismissed or manipulated. If quality time is important to you, you may find yourself avoiding deep connection, fearing that getting too close will only lead to disappointment. Instead of expressing love naturally, you second-guess yourself, unsure of whether your way of loving is valid. Another lasting effect of this conditioning is the difficulty in setting boundaries. In a narcissistic relationship, boundaries are not respected. The narcissist makes you feel guilty for asserting your needs, convincing you that prioritizing yourself is selfish. This teaches you to suppress your feelings, to put others first at the expense of your own well-being. Even after leaving the relationship, this pattern continues. You may feel uncomfortable standing up for yourself in future relationships, fearing that expressing your needs will result in rejection. You may overextend yourself, giving more than you should because you have been conditioned to believe that love requires constant sacrifice. This distorted view of love can also lead to self-doubt. Because a narcissist constantly invalidates your emotions, you may struggle to trust your own feelings. You might question whether you are overreacting when something feels wrong, or whether your expectations for love are too high. This makes it difficult to recognize when you are in a healthy relationship, because you are always looking for signs that you are the problem, rather than acknowledging that love should not feel like a test you must constantly pass. One of the most damaging effects of this conditioning is the way it makes you view your own worth. A narcissist makes you feel as though you are only valuable when you are pleasing them. This belief stays with you, making you feel unworthy of love unless you are constantly proving yourself. Even in relationships with kind and loving partners, you may struggle to believe that you are enough. You might feel the need to earn affection even when it is freely given. The idea that you deserve love just for being who you are feels foreign, because you have been conditioned to think that love is always something that must be fought for. Healing from this conditioning takes time. It requires unlearning the belief that love is a reward rather than a natural expression of human connection. It involves recognizing that you do not have to prove yourself to be worthy of affection. It means learning to trust love when it is consistent and safe, rather than fearing that it will disappear. The damage done by a narcissistic relationship runs deep, but with awareness and self-compassion, it is possible to reclaim your love language and rediscover what it truly means to give and receive love. Love is meant to be a source of warmth, security, and connection, but narcissistic relationships distort that reality. They manipulate love, turning it into something unpredictable, conditional, and exhausting. They make you believe that affection must be earned, that your emotions are weaknesses, and that love is a transaction rather than a natural expression of care. This conditioning does not just affect how you interact with the narcissist. It lingers long after the relationship ends, shaping how you view love, yourself, and your worth in future relationships. It makes you doubt genuine affection, fear stability, and question whether you deserve love that is freely given. But the truth is, love should not be a test. It should not be something that leaves you feeling anxious, depleted, or unworthy. Real love does not require you to shrink yourself, walk on eggshells, or prove your value. Healing from a narcissistic relationship means unlearning these harmful beliefs, reclaiming your love language, and understanding that love, true love, should never be about control or fear. It should be about mutual care, respect, and appreciation. To anyone who has endured this kind of relationship, know that healing is possible. You are not broken. Your love is not wrong. You deserve affection that is steady, kind, and unwavering. You deserve love that makes you feel safe, not small. As you move forward, remember that love is not something you have to earn. It is something you deserve, simply for being who you are. Good luck on your journey toward healing and rediscovering what love truly means. Thank you for listening, and may you find the love that values and honors you for exactly who you are.